everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be filming a breeding tips 101 video for you guys. So I had a few of you leave some questions on my Instagram that you wanted those questions to be in this video. So I'm just going to answer those questions for you guys right now. The first question was, how do you breed rabbits? You want to take the doe to the buck's cage, and I like to get at least 2 or 3 fall-offs. If more, that's great, but usually you don't need more than 3, and that's how you do it. And I only usually leave the doe in the buck's cage for 10 to 15 minutes tops. Usually they're fairly easy to breed, and you put the doe back in her cage and you count 28, or they can have them between 28 and about 35 days or so, maybe more, but usually around day 30 or 31 she will kindle the babies. So yeah. The next question is, any tips for new breeders, or how to raise a successful litter? How I raise my rabbits can be completely different than the way other people raise theirs. How I get successful litters is I just take very good care of my rabbits. Number one, I feed them a high protein diet in their pellets, fresh water, lots of exercise. And to get successful litters, you want to have good brood does that make good nests, and are just, all around good moms. I mean, that's really what you're wanting to look for. The next question is, how to get a reluctant doe to breed. I used to have one. Actually, I do have one. Miss Cookie down here. The last time I bred her, she actually had the babies, surprisingly. She only had one fall off. She just kept running in circles around the cage, in the buck's cage, obviously. Would try to attack him. She really wasn't feeling it. So she only got one fall off. So I was like, okay, well, she may or may not have babies in 31 days. And on day 31, she had 5 little babies. So, I mean, it really depends on the doe. I would try apple cider vinegar in their water for about a week. That works really well, I've heard. Black willow sunflower seeds also get them in the mood, I guess, if you want to call that. And a car ride. I have not used that one yet, but taking the buck and the doe on a car ride is supposedly supposed to, calm them down, and most of the time the doe will lift for the buck. So that's how I do it. The next question is, how do you keep kits alive? Like, if something bad happens, for example, the kits are born on the wire. The way that I keep the kits alive is, if there's only one baby born, I will keep a heat lamp above the cage and just shine it down in the nest to keep the baby warm, just because there's only one baby, and the baby is born without fur, so it might get cold and die. But if she does have more than one baby and the babies are born on the wire and they're cold and they're not moving, I just put them on my chest, just to start up the warming process right away. And then I bring them inside, put them in a heating pad, or float the baby on top of a baggie of water. You don't want to put the baby in the water, but you want to lay them on a thin piece of cloth and then lay them on top of the warm baggie of water. You don't want it to be hot. You don't want to scorch the baby, and just warm them up slowly. A lot of people really just want to warm them up super fast, so they try to get the hottest object they can find. You want to go slow, let them regain, consciousness, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, the next question is tips on palpating. I am actually not very good at palpating. I've been breeding for quite a while and still have not, 100% aced the palpating test here. But the way I do it, I mean, you want to do it between days 10 and 14. I find that the longer you wait, it's easier to feel the babies clearly. I'm still not very good at it. I just wait till about day 25 and I feel the sides of the doe, like on her stomach. Usually if the stomach is very tight, most of the time she has babies. Yeah, so that's how I do it. But if you want to do it underneath the belly, the way I do it might not be right, might not be wrong, but who knows. I stick my finger or my hand in between her front legs and feel underneath her gut, kind of. And I just use like my pinky or my pointer finger, and I just kind of feel on both sides. You're supposed to feel like little grape-sized, babies, but I feel like all I ever feel are guts or poo balls. So there's many different ways you can do it. But yeah. And the next question is how to tell if a kit is true or false, or a true or false dwarf. So assuming we're talking about Holland Lops, the only way to tell is the bigger characteristics of the baby when they're about, so like these 4-week-old babies. This little magpie doe is the biggest out of her litter. She's a big girl. That's pretty much how you can tell. I mean, they might have bigger characteristics to their bodies. They might be wider, built more solid than the other babies. And then once they hit, junior weight and then senior weight, excuse me, that's pretty much when you know, is how much they weigh. Like Miss Clementine here is a false dwarf because she weighs over 4 pounds, as most of my rabbits do. A few of them, most of my bucks are under 4 pounds. But that's how you tell them. And the last question is, I have a doe that only has 1 baby and it always dies. How do I improve fertility? I would check the age of the doe. That could be a big factor. If they're over, you don't want to breed a rabbit if it's over a year old already, unless they're bigger breeds. But that, or the buck may be sterile. He might not be producing enough semen or anything like that, so I would just check that. But since that's all the questions, the other tips and tricks that I recommend is, the number one thing is giving your rabbits tons of exercise. If a doe becomes too big or fat, she will develop fat around her ovaries, and that makes it nearly impossible for her to produce babies. So she'll never get pregnant. So you want to make sure that your rabbits are a healthy weight. They eat healthy food, feed treats in moderation, all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, everything that was pretty much put in the questions I've answered, pretty much what I've thought of. But that and nest box sizes. For Holland Lops, I don't know, I have a few different sizes. I have these ones that Ada's actually in right now building her nest. It's a little big, as in like cookies down here. I had to put like there's like a little piece of wood right there. It's the same as these nest boxes, but I put that in there because she poops and pees in the nest box with the babies in there. And that's just because it's really big and she thinks it's a litter box as well, and it's not. So there's all different sizes you can get, but you want your rabbit to fit just perfectly in the nest box to where they can feed the babies and they can get out. You don't want them hanging out in there all day long. So yeah, so I would just recommend getting the right size nest box. The baby's trying to jump. But yes, the right size nest box and everything. And bringing the doe to the buck's cage, never the other way around. Females can be very cage aggressive towards bucks, and you don't want the doe to castrate your buck or hurt him in any way. So always bring the doe to the buck's cage. Some people do table breedings. I typically don't do that just because I don't have a big enough table for that. So I've always just done cage breeding. That and age. For Holland Lops, the typical age to start breeding them at is, 6 or 7 months old. I typically don't breed any, sooner than 6 and no later than 8. I try not to anyways, but most of the time I breed right at 6 months or right before 7 months, and that seems to be a really good time for them. And for age-wise, as they get older and how many years you can breed them for, I just base it off of, you know, their productivity. Like Miss Clementine here, she just turned a year old, and this is her second litter. Her first litter was 6 babies, and this litter is 7. So, she gets pretty big breaks in between litters just because she's always had big litters. But as soon as I notice that, you know, the babies that she's having start, you know, withering away, or they're dying, or they're not, you know, there aren't very many, she starts having less and less, then that's kind of when you know. But, yep, so those are all of the tips and tricks that I have at the moment. I will maybe make a second video if I think of anything else. But make sure you guys like and subscribe for, you know, more videos and to watch all the other videos that I have. And make sure to comment down below, give me advice, or, you know, on what videos you guys want me to do next. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys in the next one. Bye.